The backstory is that this company was bought from a man named Vince McMahon by TKO. Vince McMahon, if you don't know anything about him, was a fairly successful professional wrestling promoter. Levesque character, he says, hey, I got an idea. I'm going to go down to Orlando. I'm going to start like this training center because I've come to the realization this is like no other business, and it's not filmed or produced like any other business. Therefore, not only am I going to teach the talent the way that I want to teach them and a system that I want to build, but I'm also going to teach everybody in the truck, everybody on handhelds, everybody on cameras, everybody that has anything to do with this process. I'm going to teach them the way I want it to be done.
Obviously, he's talking about the early days of NXT.
I'm going to call it NXT. It will be a black and gold logoed product. And Vince said, you're my son-in-law, have at it. So this gentleman goes down there and without any direction besides his own, goes down, books, produces. First off, starts the genesis of the entire thing. And lo and behold, before you know it, NXT becomes the darling because AEW doesn't exist. NXT is the darling of the hardcore wrestling fans and a great deal of the casual wrestling fans. Yes. So this Levesque guy seems to have his shit pretty fucking tight, like real fucking tight. And then this TKO group comes in and they buy out the McMahon character and they take over, and Vince kind of makes a power play, and next thing you know, he's back in it, and then he's not, and then all of a sudden this Levesque guy takes over, and everybody loves the direction that this Levesque guy is carrying the new flagship WWE program into the Netflix era.
Yep.
And then lo and behold, like every other business on earth, the fucking guys above them that don't have a clue besides get paid more and higher up on the food chain decide to start sticking their where they don't need.
Oh man,
we're gonna throw this guy in and let's put this guy in, and hey, how about him in the main event? What if we throw this guy in? Why would we throw that guy in? Because we got a fucking $100 billion deal that this guy's locked into, and this is why he's here. While we're at it, let's make the fucking arena look like a NASCAR.
He's talking about the map and all the advertisements stamped everywhere.
But it doesn't take anything away from Paul Levesque, because Paul Levesque still knows what the fuck he's doing. So if anybody out there just seems to be maybe thinks that this might be applying to them, how about leaving the fucking company alone? Get your noses out of creative, go yourselves.
Damn.
Let Paul run the fucking company. You guys want to cut the talent, you guys don't fucking throw it in Paul's lap.
So Kevin Nash, a Hall of Famer, just told Suits running WWE to, and I quote, get their noses for the most part out of creative. The man who built or was part of the development of the NWO, the man who's been in Triple H's wedding photos, the man who has nothing to gain and nothing to lose from this statement. He just, as far as this week goes, lit a match on a stream and it resonated throughout the internet everywhere. And then, not only did he make that statement, another person agreed with him, Jim Ross. Jim Ross then agreed to his statement, and he just helped pour the gasoline. Now, two things are happening in this situation. One, as always, as far as we know, the product when it comes to wrestling is hot while the business is also rotting at the same time. What do I mean by that? Let's go about it. Snap in. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Tea Drop. Today, we are unpacking what might be one of the most interesting wrestling stories of 2026. Now, I'm not talking about a match, not even a title change of recent, or even a power struggle. Big Kevin right here, Kevin Nash, basically talking against the Suits. And what do I mean by the Suits? Obviously, I'm talking about TKO. And at the same time this is happening, JR goes on his own stream and co-signs to the statement he does. Now, This is happening during a whole month of TKO and WWE cutting talent, New Day disappearing, 50% salaries being forced on some of the wrestlers to agree to. A lot of things are happening. While at the same time, creative is sucking it up. For most people. Some people will like the storyline, some don't. It's a tasteful thing, but there are people complaining about it. So there's a lot of things happening, and this probably wasn't the best thing that TKO and WWE was hoping for. Now, it became a union of conversations that just stopped being theoretical. It became a series of things with JR co-signing at the end. They talked about the pay cut report, the New Day contract, the union question, where everyone's landing on. Without further ado, let's get into it.
We're contacted about taking any pay cuts as much as 50% on any of your earnings, right? Because I know a lot of people are being contacted for that in the last couple of days. I want to make sure your family hasn't been.
This is from the Click This episode. I believe this is episode 201. And they're talking about the pay cuts that happened recently in TKO and WWE. So let's hear what Kevin has to say.
Oh no, we were more worried to make sure that the hierarchy got their bonuses. So.
Ari's pay swelled 272% when all was said and done, from 18
So they're going over the quarterly earnings report.
million last year to 67 this year. Mark Shapiro's up.
We covered this we covered this last episode.
You covered Ari. We covered Ari, and then we covered Nick.
No,
we covered Nick.
No, but I mean, we pretty much, but that was before we found out that they were gonna.
Yes.
And
that's my point.
So anyway, Sean asked Nash directly whether anyone in his family was contacted about pay cuts, and Nash answered, nothing crazy. But then they go further into the pay cuts and the 50-50.
That's not what it is the business has changed now. Or you can look at it, say if I became a character.
Okay.
And I was old school Louie, and I was one of the boys, and they came at me and they said, "Hey, old school Louie, we're gonna cut your pay 50%." I say, "The fuck you are! Just because you fucking guys are business guys, and you think all the business will run the same. You guys have fucking tanked on this one. Sorry. Everybody thinks that fucking this business is like the circus, and this business is like business. It's like no other. And if you get in it, you don't fucking know it before you get in it. There is no learning curve. Go fuck yourself. I want all my money."
Now, if you guys not familiar about Kevin Nash is very important to the wrestling history, at least the modern wrestling history. And what do I mean about that? Because Nash, he was one of the main few people during the 90s that helped make guaranteed pay normal for at least top wrestlers. What do I mean by that? Nash made wrestlers be thought like athletes, not just performers. He left WWF or WWE nowadays as Diesel and went to WCW because WCW offered him guaranteed money and a better schedule. Kind of similar to what AEW does nowadays. Nash has talked about it several times, and he also talked about how because of that, it created a bidding war culture between the two companies, which became something new to some. He also helped popularize favored nation style leverage. What do I mean by that? It basically means if you bring someone in, say if someone brings someone into AEW, for example, and you're a top paid wrestler, and you pay that new wrestler more than pay that person that is a top wrestler, their money salary goes up. So say I'm the top wrestler and I earn, I don't know, what the $500,000 or $300,000, and you hire a newbie and you give them a little more than I do. Well, my salary should be going up as well. Now that I don't think for all I know, I don't know. It doesn't sound like it's something that lasted because it's probably one of the reasons why WCW ceased because of that practice. Maybe they don't do it as often, but I'm not sure. I don't do contracts, but these are major things why Kevin Nash is important when it comes to contracts. So of course, Kevin Nash will be one of the spokespersons about this situation. Why wouldn't he? He knows more about this than anyone else. Who better to talk about this situation than Kevin Nash? Now, he was asked about the 50% cuts, and Nash, basically based on his reaction, you can't cut a wrestler's pay cut by 50. So anyway, let's
That's
continue.
that old school Louis.
Are these guys old school Louis? I don't know if they're old. If these cats are old school Louis, dude.
No, I'm talking. The old school Louis was talking to the TKO guys.
Yeah, he's not blasting based on his response to that clip. He's not blasting Triple H. He's not even. He's blasting the executives. It's TKO. The TKO suits sitting upstairs or wherever higher level. The Endeavor guys, the people who earlier in this clip, he says the people that need to stick their noses out where they don't belong. Now, here's an interesting thing. That Fightful pull from this, he said if you cut pay 50%, it makes sense to cut ticket prices 50% as well. That's a man laying out their seat in public about what that should be. And that's something many people have been saying since this 50% situation, or even the wrestlers being kicked out, was discussing. If this is happening, why aren't the tickets going down? If the higher ups are getting all this salary, why can't you guys pay for a cheaper ticket or give us cheaper tickets? It's become a big thing. Now, before anyone starts saying that Nash is being a hater, let's prove why he's not.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Well, what did you hear from me the last 40 seconds? 40 minutes? And you say, how do you think that as I'm driving 250 miles a day, and they're talking and listening to the radio and stuff, and because I do drive. When I drive, I drive. That's what I do. I ain't got time to fuck around. I don't look around. I drive, and I'm thinking a lot, and I'm getting little bits and pieces of what's going on, and some of it's affecting one of my closest friends.
Closest friend being Triple H.
And I'm just sitting there grinding and thinking like, motherfucker, man. And I knew. And
you knew what, Kev?
I just knew that this was. I just watched this thing just kind of start to tilt that way, start to become not wrestling and start to become, because there's no such thing as corporate wrestling. It doesn't exist.
Yep.
Does there come a time where
because see, when you have a corporate event, you don't want us there because we don't have filters. Somebody might ask us a question, we'll answer truthfully.
Now it's corporate.
Yeah,
you can't do it.
The boys.
You can't do it as corporate. Now I need to be honest. Nash isn't a saint. He was at times part of the political machine that helped break WCW. The history is all there when it came to it, but that is exactly why this hits different. Nash is one of Triple H's closest friends in the world, a clique brother. Yeah, a clique brother. He has zero incentive to publicly drag the suit standing next to Hunter, unless he truly believes the locker room itself is at risk. And you can see it in his face that he truly believes it is at risk. And on this episode, he calls it by name, or by the name that we can probably see what WWE is now going forward: corporate wrestling. Where in the world does Kevin Nash burn that bridge in public unless he truly believes that bridge is already on fire? Now we're gonna move when Conrad, Sean Oliver. No, sorry. We're actually moving to a new video. So now that's all that. That's Kevin Nash talking about the whole corporate, how he's not happy about the company becoming this corporate machine. And because it becomes a corporate machine, there's a little soullessness of the company, how they treat the wrestlers, how they treat them when it comes to money, guarantee contracts, so on and so forth. Now, after all this,
but I like.
After all that, good old JR talks about it. Conrad asked him about the episode, or about Kevin Nash's quote, and he reads out the quote about what Kevin Nash said during the stream, and this is how he responds.
Was this released and how it's going to affect everybody? We're talking specifically about Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. They were asked to.
Now, this was 48 hours after Nash drops his Click This podcast. Conrad Thompson walks Jim Ross into the same conversation on Grilling JR. And he doesn't paraphrase it. He reads Nash's quote for the most part verbatim. So let's take a look what he says. Yeah.
Essentially renegotiate their contracts. And that has royally pissed off Kevin Nash, who's always been pretty vocal and now is pushing for a union. Quote, you can't.
That's another thing. He does ask in his stream eventually about union. He says you can't have it both ways.
You can't play Endeavor at the top with the 300% increases and the 1099 dock workers. If they're going to play by those rules, let the boys play by those same rules. Go through Screen Actors Guild. They'll be more than happy to take their cut of your money. It won't be 50%, but it'll change the ballgame. Take one of the programs that's written down and tell me that that program isn't more heavily written and more produced than Curb Your Enthusiasm when all those actors got SAG paid. So that's interesting. You've got a guy who was always able to put himself in a good spot and a good position and earn a great living.
He's going to now ask, what does JR think about Kevin Nash's pushing for a union in wrestling?
Normally, those are not the guys who are advocating for a union, but here he is. What do you think of big, sexy Kevin Nash pushing for a union in wrestling?
Yeah, big, sexy.
He's a very smart guy, Conrad. He's very bright. He knows what he's talking about. You know, I tell the story connected to unions that Bill Watts said one time, you know, these guys can't agree on what to have for lunch or go to for lunch. So it's hard to get everybody on the same page, so to speak, because they're the decision makers in that world heretofore have been somewhat, I don't know, they have their own agendas. And if they get their money, then they're happy.
Yep.
And they're not willing to give some of their money back to the union and move on. So
So as you hear, smart, bright, he knows what he's talking about. This is the most important thing you'll hear out of JR's mouth when it comes to this. Nothing crazy. No, well, on the other hand, no corporate cushion of JR. He's pretty much saying sentence by sentence, but about agreeing with him. But here's where it gets really interesting when JR keeps going. So let's continue.
You can't hurt yourself by listening to Kevin and his ideas for a union or any other topic in wrestling. You know, I think if he was more motivated with the product.
So sit with that for a second. Any other topic in wrestling, that is not a cosign on the union's conversation only. That is JR, the most measured, most company-friendly broadcaster in the history of the business, telling the audience that whatever Kevin Nash is saying about wrestling, the smart move is to listen. He has the experience. Kevin Nash has gone through this situation, maybe not as extreme as it is now, but he has gone through something similar back in the 90s. So why not listen to him now? JR just basically gave a stamp of approval on the whole entire Nash body of criticism. Not just a nod, all of it. He gave a freaking stamp. And then, and I need you to pay attention to how this goes down. JR drops the line that should have every TKO executive checking their emails and their mail going forward.
He's probably in charge of somebody's creative right now. He's that good. And you want to get guys to have product knowledge. Those of you that follow me know that I'm big on the product knowledge. That's how you find the best people, product knowledge. People didn't hire Jim Cornette because he was a future main event waiting to happen. They just didn't. But he's a student of the game, and he knew how to navigate the ship on any kind of water you want to get on. Rough waters, icy waters, blue water, whatever. He understood the product, and therefore he was able to make good, sound booking decisions. You know, we don't know how good Cornette's stuff would have been if he had had the chance to, you know, have another 2 or 3 stars on his roster that he could acquire and build from there. So product knowledge is essential. And
so let me ask you something. Where in the world does Jim Ross go on his own podcast and says Kevin Nash should be running somebody's creative? At the same exact moment, Nash is publicly telling the TKO suits to get their noses out of creative, unless JR agrees with him on the substance. Now, at this point, this is not only a co-sign. It's probably it's a recommendation. That is JR floating Nash's as a fits to the very problem Nash just identified. These two old school guys are not just aligned in the abstract. They are aligned on the solution. Anyway, let's continue with the rest of JR.
Nash has immense product knowledge, and because he's been in so many union environments, he's somebody that you should listen to. I do. I find him to be very bright, very informative.
Darren Staley is with us here live. He's got a question. He wants to know if JR was going to build his own promotion and he could pick 5 talent across all promotions right now, money's no object, who would his anchors be? So that's kind of fun. If you were to hit the reset button and there are no allegiances, everyone's available, you're doing a draft, if you will, who would be your first 5 picks to build a promotion?
All right. So that was pretty much it for JR's discussion. JR closes the segment with the line that ties the whole thing in a bow. Product knowledge. The man who broadcast the Attitude Era, the man who built every star you ever loved, the man who has more credibility in the wrestling business than the entire TKO suite probably combined at this point. He's telling you to listen to Nash, maybe, and that by association, listen to Triple H, because they would know what's best to do for the business. Now, these are not at all podcast sound bites. These are 2 Hall of Famers walking the talent towards the same door. Different areas, but similar message. The talent needs protection from the people upstairs. And the wrestling guys need to be running the wrestling, at least storyline, or just the day-to-day for the most part. It's all right there. Now, let's go back to Nash. We will go to his next point. That's 30, when he starts talking about the union. Let's start with right here.
Why you had to make it 31 so we could have an absolutely wonderful ballroom?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if fans. I don't know how fans think as far as that. You know, you vote with your dollar, right? It's ultimately always up to the fans. Movies, whatever we're talking about. If you're going to buy it, you're going to watch it. You're supporting it.
I would hope that you would support. I would hope you would support my friend Triple H. And if something happens and Triple H is no longer in the helm, that there's some kind of a power play, and I hope that you.
I mean, he is just pissed off at this point. The man is just keeps being pissed off about the whole situation. But let's move to which is probably the better. I'm just gonna go about him agreeing with New Day making the right call.
Do you think New Day made the
Absolutely.
right choice?
Absolutely. If they made their choice, right? I mean, but they both those guys have been there 16, 17 years.
Thanks, Arthur.
It's a slap in the face. Both those guys are my friends.
Less dates, less pay also equal or translate to higher event prices for fans?
That's something else. Anyway, he agrees with the New Day making the call. They bet on themselves. And it's something Nash did when he was younger too, when in the 90s. He betted on himself. He took a risk and go to a company that was rebranding itself to a new image, new WCW, new attempt, new way to start competing with WWE. And they needed players. Kevin Nash thought it was the right time.
This could be one of those times.
We're going to talk, and this is when he starts bringing up the whole SAG situation.
This whole 1099 thing finally fucking just, it's not the take it out of the fucking back of the come on, bring the folders out, bring them all out. Jesse, come on. You said that you said on the Hulk's thing, your era is over. It's not. You're still, Jesse, come here. We need you, Jesse. Jesse, tell them how you were going to do it. Tell them how you were going to.
Oh, yeah. Jesse Ventura tried to unionize wrestling before, back in the late 80s or around the 80s, and it backfired on him.
Go to SAG. Get a bunch of guys together. Take one of the programs that's written down, and you tell me that program isn't more heavily written and more produced than Curb Your Enthusiasm was when all those actors that went on that show got SAG paid. So why don't you guys go and see if you can get unionized? Go through Screen Actors Guild. They'll be more than happy to take their fucking cut of your money. It won't be 50%, but it'll change the ball game. And if one thing Endeavor does know, because it's all Endeavor's deal, Endeavor knows that game.
Because Ari Emanuel, by the way, if you don't know, Ari Emanuel gave inspiration to the Ari character in Entourage, so they know.
That's what they do. That's their home run. So if they're so good at that game, let the boys play by those rules. You know the game. You can't have it both ways. You can't play Endeavor at the fucking top with the 300% increases and fucking 1099 the dock workers that are fucking Brad Pitt and fucking Pacino. Can't do both.
And in the term sports entertainment.
Anyway, let's move to the next thing. So that was the main line or statement that's got the whole community at a frenzy because of the contracts and because of unionization. Now, let's do a callback to, let's see. Let's first go to, okay, let's talk about Nash on Wrestling Brotherhood.
Well, we'll see where it goes, Kev. Some feedback from last week. Trust number 1 was watching. He said, I binged last night and I'm conflicted. Wish it was more. Oh, he's talking about the Hogan show. Wish it was more of his life as Terry and not all Hulk. But it might be true that Terry didn't exist anymore and it was only Hulk. I think it was Werner Herzog that had the quote where, were you talking to Hulk? Were you talking to Terry? Was there a distinction there, Kev, or was he one of the cats that kind of became the character, or the character?
No, it's like anything else.
Okay.
You can only make that statement if you don't know the human.
Right.
But Kevin Nash knows the human, and when he asks him, when were you happiest, and Hulk, you see his eyes change, you see his demeanor change, his breathing pattern changes. I was happiest with the kids and Linda.
What's going on?
I was happy at that point in my life. Boom.
What's going on, Matt Madness? Hope you're doing well. Yes, Saturday tea drop because I have some things to do tomorrow afternoon. But yeah, it's an interesting Saturday so far. So this is important. He spent a few minutes talking about Hogan and shared some brotherhood that helped him throughout that business. But shared experience helps you move the needle when it comes to making money and profit. But anyway, let's finish it off. What other good item came out of this interview? The union call we went over, the Brotherhood of the Union.
Well, we'll see where it goes, Kev. Some feedback from last week. Trust number 1 was watching. He said, I binged last night and I'm conflicted.
So you've got this guy.
So this is Kevin Nash talking about covering the losses of USC.
Whose title is basically he's in charge of creative.
Okay.
Okay. So the backstory is that this company was bought from a man named Vince McMahon by TKO. Mm-hmm. Vince McMahon, if you don't know anything about him, was a fairly successful professional wrestling promoter. That would be a fair observation, right?
Yeah.
We went over this. All right. But that's most of this interview. Like the biggest things to take out of this interview, which ironically JR a few days later agreed to, is the whole thing about unionization, about people at this point in time listen to past experienced wrestlers and staff people from the 90s to get their ideas of what happened during times like these when push came to shove when it came to their contracts and their salaries. If there's anyone that you can listen to, unfortunately, it's one of the last NWO members that we have, which is Kevin Nash. He went through it. Other wrestlers went through it during the WCW, WWE, Monday Night Wars. So probably a good time for these wrestlers to pay attention. But anyway, let me ask you a few things and drop your thoughts in the comments. 1, do you think WWE talent will actually unionize before any time in the future? 2, Kevin Nash agrees that it was the best decision for the New Day to walk away, and they had every right to. Do you agree, or should they have taken the renegotiation? 3, Nash, JR, or both? Who lands the harder punch on TKO? Let me know in the comments. If the T hit right, hit the like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.